Episode 4, Swamp Thing, Darkness on the Edge of Town. This is this is real interesting, really cool, really cool, really cool, really cool. I know the hashtag Save Swamp Thing is really trending hard, and everybody who's pushing it, you really need to push it even harder after this episode 4. So, again, I've been given strict instructions not to spoil anything for anyone, so I'm going to try my best not to. I'm just going to say, when you all see this episode, you're going to love it. Now, personally, myself, this is my favorite episode past episode 1. Episode 2 and 3 were really good. I really did enjoy them. With episode 4, I finally feel like we get into the crux of what Swamp Thing is and how this show could work. And with this episode, I'm truly questioning why the show was canceled. It's not making sense now, because I know all the rumors that we heard that they wanted a procedural show, they wanted this type of show, that type of show. But with this episode, I believe we get everything you could want out of a Swamp Thing show. Like, for this episode, again, it's called Darkness at the Edge of Town. Without me going into too much of the details about it, something happens with someone at the swamp, and it gets back into town. Once it gets back into town, some very interesting things happen in this episode, through the course of this episode after they get back in town. The best comparison I could give you is the movie Fallen. If you can remember that movie with Denzel Washington, and what happens when that gets back into their town, it's kind of what we get with Swamp Thing, but just done the way Swamp Thing would do things. And pretty cool, pretty dope. This episode reminded me of the best Supernatural episodes ever made. And when I mean ever made, I mean if you were a fan of Supernatural, and I always compare Swamp Thing to Supernatural because of the elements of the show. When you're mixing a horror show with the sci-fi elements and things of that nature, I automatically think Supernatural, and this episode just brings up the best, the absolute best of the Supernatural shows. This is something that WB had to see this episode and possibly say, like, this is the way we wanted this show to be. That's how strongly I feel about this episode. It works on so many levels. Ian Fleming from 90210. I probably ain't saying his name right. I'm never good with names, but probably not saying his name right. But his character finally starts to develop some things. Gerald Prescott, her character again, Madam X, comes back, really like forming into exactly what this show and these characters are going to be. The acting, again, super great. Top-notch performances. The cinematography is amazing. I think this is the best looking episode so far for Swamp Thing. And what I mean by that is episodes 2 and 3 were kind of dark at times. Even though the cinematography still shined, it was still kind of dark. This episode, we don't have those issues anymore. It's pretty cool, pretty clear. You see everything humanly possible that you want to see. The evolution of the character Swamp Thing is pretty dope in this one too. Like, again, we've seen it happening, and right here is like, it gives me everything I could possibly want. Me being a fan of procedural shows, me being a fan of week-to-week television, like, this was the episode I was like, okay. Now, if they can do this, I need someone explain to me how this show does not exist past this season. This is one of those episodes where you get so engrossed in it, but it gives you a conclusion, and it's satisfying. The conclusion is extremely satisfying, and not only that, it leads to bigger storylines, and this is what you need out of a show like Swamp Thing. Lead to bigger storylines. Lead to people being more interested after the episode completes. And with this one, man, listen, I can't wait. I can't wait to episode 5. Like, I can't wait for it, because this episode gave me everything humanly possible I wanted out of this series. And when you all see it, you'll fully understand what I'm talking about. It's one of those engrossing episodes that you can get into without even needing to see episodes 1, 2, or 3. You could have completely skipped those, get to episode 4, and pick up and be like, oh, so this is what this series is. Okay, I can dig it. This is that type of episode. So I hope when you all get to see it, you love it as much as I love this episode. I think this is some of the best pacing this show has had. It's some of the best pacing this show has had is in this episode. So I'm pretty sure anyone who sees it, you're gonna freaking love it. You're gonna. This is a repeat watch episode, people. Repeat watch. Like the other episodes were cool. They progress the story. You can watch them and you can enjoy yourself. But with this episode, I watched this episode 2 times already because after I watched it the first time, I said to myself, like, it couldn't have been that smooth. It was. And I think you all are going to love it. Absolutely love it. And if you don't love it, let us know. But this has been another review brought to you by JVS. Peace, people.